Good morning, dear children. Welcome to New English class. How are you all? I hope everyone is safe and secure at your home. In the previous classes, we came across how Satyajit Ray and his entire crew made all the arrangements for the film Gopi Gaine Bhaga Baine. Children, I am sure you are very eager to know what would follow. Aren't you? Yes, I know. Now, let me show you a picture from the lesson, the Project Tiger. All of you look at it carefully. I may ask certain questions based on it. Okay? Are you ready? I hope you have noticed the picture. Can anyone say, what did you notice there? Of course, it's a shooting location. Yes, you are right. How many tigers have you noticed there? One or two? Yes, two. One in the cage and the other jumping out of the cage. Is the audience gathered there calm or quiet? Of course not. We notice the panic faces, don't we? Certainly, we don't know what happened there. So, let's get into the story in detail to know more about it. I will read the paragraphs. Paragraph number 13 on page number 47. Open your text and listen to me carefully. A village called Norton Gram. We found a suitable bamboo grove to film the first meeting between Gopi and Bhaga and the appearance of the tiger. Mr. Thorat reached the shooting location with the tiger. There were about 25 people in the location. A few local people took our permission to go with us to watch how we tackled the tiger. The cage on the lorry was covered. When the cover was removed, we were surprised to see not one but two well-fed and robust tigers. I decided to play it safe, Mr. Thorat explained. If one doesn't get it right, we can use the other. We mounted the camera on its tripod and placed it so that it faced the bamboo grove. The audience was instructed to get behind the camera and stand as far as back as possible. We had to stay relatively close to the bamboo grove, and Gopi and Bhaga too had to be within yards of the camera, for it was necessary to have at least one shot that showed them together with the tiger. Mr. Thorat's men had fixed a 5-foot iron rod to the ground about 30 feet from the area where the tiger was supposed to take a walk. They took a thin long wire and fixed one end to the collar made of tiger skin that the tiger was already wearing. The other end was tied firmly to the visible portion of the iron rod. The door of one of the cages was unfastened, and Mrs. Rat called out to the tiger. It responded almost at once and sprang out of its cage to land on the open space outside. What followed was totally unexpected. One look at Mr. Rat's startled and helpless face told us that he was as taken aback as the rest of us. Instead of walking sedately in a dignified manner, the tiger started prancing around with tremendous enthusiasm. It leapt, it jumped, it rolled about, dragging its poor trainer who was desperately clutching the wire tied to the tiger's collar in a futile attempt to bring it under control. We stood around foolishly, watching a new and strange kind of circus which we were getting to see for free. The camera was still standing on its three legs, staring into the wood, but the tiger was showing no sign of making its way there. Once the tiger had calmed down, we managed to take the few shots we needed. This should have been the end of the story, but when we returned to Calcutta and looked at the scenes with the tiger, we realized that the camera had failed to work properly. The shots were too dark, so much so that the tiger was merging almost completely with the background of the trees and leaves. We had to shoot the scenes all over again. We spoke to Mr. Thorat and he agreed to give it another go. We found another bamboo grove closer to Calcutta in a village called Boral. The lorry arrived once more with Mr. Thorat, the tiger, the steel wire, the special collar, and the iron rod. And with the lorry came the whole village. We told the villagers that they should stand at a distance of 70 feet. No one paid attention to what they were told. The entire crowd moved as close to the camera as they could. We could not afford to waste any more time explaining and arguing. So we got the camera ready and signaled to Mr. Thorat. He opened the door of the cage. The instant the door opened with a clang, our tiger emerged with a loud roar and charged straight at the villagers gathered behind the camera. The crowd, consisting of about 150 people, melted away as if by magic. After that great burst of energy, the tiger calmed down very quickly. Like an obedient child, it walked over to the spot we had chosen, paced about quietly as it was required to, and then ambled back to its trainer. Even the camera behaved this time, which we realized 2 days later when we returned to Calcutta and saw the scenes we had shot. Children, I hope you were listening while I was reading the paragraphs. So, what did you notice in the paragraphs? I think it is the major difficulties faced by Satyajit Ray in shooting the film, or the problems faced by him in the shooting location. Children, now you read the paragraphs again and Please underline the difficult words. You underline the important words. The first word, robust. What does it mean? It means strong and healthy. Have you seen the word sedately? Yes, of course, which means very calmly. Another word you notice in the paragraph is prance, which means to move with high steps. Again, we notice the word futile, means having no purpose or of no use. Then, in the last paragraphs, you notice some more words. One is afford, which means to have enough money or time to do something. Again, we see the word amble. Amble means to walk at a slow, relaxed speed. Again, clang, to make a loud, ringing sound like that of metal being hit. Now we shall watch that particular scene in the movie Guppy Gaine Bhaga Baine.
Din tak, tak din tak. Din tak, tak din tak. তোমার ঢোল যে জল পরে ফুলে ঢোল হয়ে গেছে গো। কি নাম তোমার? আমার নাম? তোমার নাম তো কার? আমার নাম শ্রী গোপীনাথ গাইন। নিবাস? আমলকি। তোমার? ভর্তুকি। তো তুমি এখানে যে? তারাই দেশে গাদা পিঠে তুলে দূরে করে দিয়েছে। চলে গেল বোধহয়। না, যায়নি।
Children, now I am going to give you a simple task. I am going to ask you some questions based on the previous reading paragraphs. Try to answer it. Okay? My first question is, where was the shooting held at? Yes, you are right. Nottingham, or in a bamboo grove at Nottingham. Question number 2. They brought 2 tigers for the shooting. Actually, they needed only 1 tiger. What was the reason for that? Yes, you know, if one doesn't get it right, they can use the other. And the third question, what was the instruction given to the people gathered there? Answer. The people were instructed to get behind the camera and to stand as far as possible. Now, will you please take a piece of paper and write down a few words or expressions which shows the behavior of the tiger at the shooting location. Have you written? Tell me the words. Okay, you are right. Sprang out of the cage, not at all walking sedately, rolling, dragging the trainer, prancing around. Yes, children, you are right. What happened then? Were they able to shoot the scenes well? Yes, when the tiger was calm and quiet, they could shoot some scenes. But was the scene clear? No, we can say they were not at all clear. When they saw it later, they understood that the camera failed to work properly and the shots were too dark. Children, suppose you were all present at that shooting location and you returned home that evening. When you met your mother, you narrated the whole story to your mother. How did you do that? How that narration was done? Yes, let us try to learn the grading indicators or the key points of a good narration. Yes, children, points. Catchy and concise heading, appropriate personal pronouns, recall the events and sequencing of the ideas in order. Start the narration with a striking sentence. Describe the setting, characters of the story, and keep the flow of the narration. Children, if you write a narration, what heading will you give for your narration? Sometimes the strain behind a cinema or tiger's violent behavior in a shooting location, or the pain behind a film shooting. Okay, you can give appropriate heading in accordance with the topic you are going to narrate. So you write the narration and send it to your English teacher. The teacher will give you more guidelines to make it better. Okay? Children, before we wind up today's session, here is a review of our class. How the animals and birds were engaged in shooting a film. The major difficulties faced by Ray and his team to use the animals, especially tigers, in shooting. Okay? Let you also try for shooting some short films of your own. Will you do that? It is time to wind up. Let me wind up the session. Meet you in the next class. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Stay secure. Goodbye.